At the beginning of the 2019-20 season, the Brooklyn Nets looked to be one of the most exciting teams in the league, combining a young core with the likes of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan. And while it was announced that KD would not be playing that year because of his Achilles injury, it seemed like the Nets would do just fine with Kyrie leading the ship. But because of numerous injuries to his knee and especially his shoulder, Kyrie was hobbled throughout the season and played in just a career-low 20 games. Even with this, the Nets still found themselves able to secure the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference, led by an all-star caliber season by Spencer Dinwiddie, rising star Caris LeVert, and all-around contributions from Joe Harris, Taurean Prince, Jarrett Allen, Garrett Temple, and DeAndre Jordan. Unfortunately, this team was swept by the defending champion Toronto Raptors, but looking at their circumstances, the team couldn't be more excited because they were missing 3 key pieces in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Spencer Dinwiddie in that playoff run, and Caris LeVert blossomed into an offensive star, showing he was capable of leading a team on the offensive end. This coming offseason could be a potentially exciting one for Brooklyn. Already, we've seen them shake up their roster by adding Steve Nash as their head coach. The Nets will be retaining most of their main core, but a lot of smaller pieces, such as Wilson Chandler, Jamal Crawford, Lance Thomas, Tyler Johnson, Justin Anderson, and Dante Hall, will become free agents. However, one key guy from Brooklyn is making his way into the free agency market, and it's Joe Harris. The 29-year-old sharpshooter saw the best scoring season of his career, putting up a career-high 14.5 points while shooting 48.6% from the field and an elite 42.4% from 3, which surprisingly is a step down from the season prior, where he shot an insane 47.5% from 3. I believe that Brooklyn should prioritize re-signing him because he would be a key player sharing the court with KD, Kyrie, Dinwiddie, and LeVert. Him at the 3-point line and his presence makes it easier for everyone around him. He's going to have a lot, and I mean a lot of wide open 3-point attempts with all the playmakers he has on his team. But aside from Harris, the Nets will have to look at a number of free agents who are willing to sign for a minimum deal because they are so over the cap. Some potential guys could be David Nwaba, Damari Carroll, Paul Millsap if he decides he wants to ring chase, or even Carmelo Anthony. An interesting prospect that I've been seeing lately is that the Nets may trade some of their key pieces in order to acquire that third star that they've been looking for. And while there are rumors that they may get someone like Devin Booker or even Joel Embiid, the most practical person to go after in my opinion is Bradley Beal, given that he is in my opinion the most available player out of the 3. However, in order to make this happen, the Nets are going to have to give up a lot, and I mean a lot in order to get him, considering Beal just signed a 2-year max extension worth nearly $36 million a year. The potential trade the Nets would have to do in order to acquire Beal sees them getting rid of 3 key pieces of their core in Caris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jarrett Allen. In addition to this, to sweeten the pot, the Nets would probably have to add in a couple of picks, including this year's 19th pick. And while a core of Irving, KD, and Beal does sound unstoppable on the offensive end, I just don't think it's a smart move for Brooklyn at all. Think about it. While Dinwiddie is on an expiring contract, the man just had a season where he was averaging 20 points and 6 assists. And yes, this does raise his trade value on the market, but he is the best option for the Nets as an insurance policy for Kyrie Irving, who we know that throughout his career has been very injury prone, never played a full season, and playing in just an average of 59 games a year. Caris LeVert has proven that he's a very capable player on the offensive end and could serve as that third option behind Kyrie and KD, or as a very effective 6-man off the bench if Brooklyn opts to start Dinwiddie. Jarrett Allen is slowly developing into one of the better centers in the league and one of the better rim protectors in the league as well. If you trade these 3, how would Brooklyn's depth look like after KD, Kyrie, and potentially Beal? Taurean Prince and a declining DeAndre Jordan? That's it? Nah. In my opinion, it's not worth giving all of that up when you already have a very strong core who can compete for championships. Finally, I want to talk about what Brooklyn is going to do in this year's draft as they have the 19th pick. Firstly, because they're competing for a championship, they would want someone who can contribute right away. If there was one place the Nets could improve their depth, it'd definitely be at the wing position. Because of these factors, I think the Nets should draft Desmond Bane, who I believe can play both the 2 and the 3 position in the NBA. Coming out of 4 seasons in TCU, Bane is definitely ready for the NBA. He's explosive, strong, and has the ability to hit the outside jumper, and is a very capable slasher at the rim as well. He's also a good rebounder from the wing position, grabbing 6.5 rebounds per game in his senior season. His game reminds me a lot of Eric Gordon's, and I can see him definitely coming off the bench and contributing, along with either Dinwiddie or LeVert. So, how do I expect the Brooklyn Nets to do next season? Well, if I'm being honest, they're definitely a top 3 team in the East, potentially the best team in the East considering how much talent they have around them. The biggest question and the biggest thing that the Nets are riding on is definitely the play of Kevin Durant. I mean, he just had an Achilles injury, which is something that most players never come back from, so it's going to be a big question of whether or not he's going to come back at full strength and play like he once was, or if he's going to see a slow decline in his career. However, in my opinion, I think that KD is going to come back just fine and come back to form as a top 3 player in the NBA, considering he's more of a finesse and skill-based playstyle type of player, instead of a more physical and athletic one. Should this happen, I expect that the Nets are going to make the NBA Finals. Yes, I said it, they're going to make the NBA Finals above teams like the Bucks and the Toronto Raptors. But this is just my opinion, so let me know in the comments below how you think the Nets are going to do next season and whether or not KD is going to come back to full form and be able to coexist with Kyrie Irving. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. We're uploading twice a week, so be on the lookout for that. But with all that being said, remember this. I think that Brooklyn Nets GM Sean Marks should be getting a lot of credit for the job he's done turning around the franchise after such a terrible trade during the Garnett, Pierce, and Darren Williams era.